I'm Justin Fox with Time Magazine. I'm here with Jim Cramer, host of CNBC's Mad Money, founder of TheStreet.com, former hedge fund manager, former stockbroker, former lawyer, former newspaper reporter, and a guy who's been having a very interesting year. Jim, thanks for doing this with us.
Thank you.
Our first question is from Gonzalo Soto Campero in Mexico City. In the summer of 2007, you appeared on TV screaming that Ben Bernanke and his colleagues at the Federal Reserve had no idea how bad things were on Wall Street. After what has happened, weren't you too calm?
I've often thought about what I said that day in relation to many people who have second-guessed me and our network, that we didn't see things coming. Because the truth is that we saw them coming all too clearly. And a lot of people criticized me for being off the deep end when I shouted from the rooftops that things were falling apart and we had to do something. And then a lot of people criticized me for not doing anything and not shouting it from the rooftops. So I always found there would be a tad of irony there. But what happened is I said my piece. I came out, I said what I had to say. I hoped people listened. I said privately what I had to say to people in government. I said publicly what I had to say. But what I thought it did, at least, was let me look back and say, I know I did my best.
So this question is from John Puderbaugh in DeKalb, Illinois. Did you regret that you went on The Daily Show in the first place?
No one wants to suffer a beatdown. No one wants to be humiliated or embarrassed. And I would include myself in that group.
So that's a yes?
No, I was shocked at his behavior. But, you know, I came on as a gentleman, and I wanted to take the high road, and I had been pretty much led to believe that it would be fun. That was obviously incredibly wrong. You know, when you have things in life where you get defined by something that is really unfortunate because you don't think it's you, you tend to want to look back and blame the other person. I wish that Jon Stewart had watched my show a couple times. I think he obviously got clips. I wish he knew about my background, and I wish he knew about a lot of the things that I had done, because I think he would have thanked me instead of attacked me for exactly what I had been doing. No one else has stuck their neck out the way I have to be able to say things are corrupt, things are bad. I'm probably the person who's gotten most trouble in America for trying to say, listen, we got to stop this madness. And yet I, because of this fellow from TV, have been characterized as being the most clueless, most reckless. And I think that's it's just an unfortunate thing. I didn't see it coming. And I think ultimately sometimes you just get had.
You seem to take Jon Stewart's criticism personally, but he was really making a larger point about the failures of CNBC and other financial outlets. Do you actually think your network did a good job anticipating and reporting on the financial meltdown?
I'm going to take that in two ways. One was that if you go back over the tape, it was very clear that he was attacking me personally. I was trying to keep it at a high level, but he was vicious and he was ad hominem in the way he attacked me. And then when I tried to defend myself, he said he was attacking the network. So his method of arguing was brilliant in the way it was meant strictly to try to get me fired. I think that was his goal, was to try to get me fired. Our network has done a phenomenal job, actually much better than print. I'm from print, okay? I've been print all my life. I know what good journalism and what bad journalism is. And I'm not going to let him be the arbiter of good or bad journalism. He may claim that I don't, but I've seen and been in many places where I have been told what to say and what not to say. And CNBC is not one of them, and I speak for many people when I say that. I think CNBC's done a remarkable job, and I think that the attack on CNBC and the attack on me were gravely misplaced.
Well, because that's what, do you really think it's to get you fired, or is his goal to have a show that a lot of people watch?
You know, let's say if it was for ratings, okay, well, it's business, but it's still my life. I didn't expect to be prosecuted. And it was rather remarkable. It was rather remarkable in the sense that it was so clear that his goal was to just destroy me. And I'm still walking around, I still have my show, and doing a good job, I think. But it was just remarkable. Remarkably misplaced. And of course, then he would say, Jim, don't take it personally. It was about CNBC. You can do that kind of circular argument, and I get that. But we moved on. I continue to try to do the best journalism I can. He continues to try to do whatever he's doing. But if I'm waiting for an apology, I'm really stupid. But he was very vicious. One day he'll answer for it. but nothing I'll be able to do will answer for it. I mean, we all have to answer for things when we're vicious and we try to take people down. And we should, because it's not fair.
Do you believe we will look back on the financial innovations of the last several decades with regret? Or do you think, in the long run, the incredible amount of available credit they create will justify them as beneficial?
No, they almost brought our country down. I mean, anything that tries to bring the country down is bad. I mean, we wiped out 40 to 50% of people's savings, good hardworking people. We had no government regulation. It was the government decided to adopt a laissez-faire / Atlas shrugged view of things, which meant that they genuinely believed that the markets shouldn't be regulated, and rapacious capitalism took over. And the only guy who really called this right was Marx. But I have to tell you that they brought our nation to its knees, and we're not going to end up being a great power because of what happened. China will be.
Money is being spent before it can be printed. At what point will we run into crippling inflation?
I mean, you got to go back and read Hoover. Hoover was very worried about tremendous inflation, so he did his best to avoid that. And we had the greatest depression in history. So perhaps we learn from history and make a judgment that we should worry about inflation after we worry about taking a Great Depression off the table. Our garden variety depression, which was the worst since the 30s, ended in the second week of March. And I think that we need to be addressing the inflation issue when we're absolutely sure that the banking system is solvent, which I think we're coming to. And then I think that Bernanke is very smart, and he will rein in the cash. I believe almost all the TARP money will be returned. I believe that the only rogue element left is AIG. Housing, I believe, will bottom, and then they can begin to raise rates if they'd like to. But let's not have a 1937-38 scenario where we started raising taxes and we were thrown back in the Depression, which only ended when war was declared.
You're saying the second week in March this particular depression ended?
Mm-hmm. I like to be specific.
Okay. I still quite like your TV persona.
Isn't that nice?
Is this because the general public have come to expect people in the financial sector to be roguish?
Well, I don't think anybody's roguish. It's really dangerous to be roguish. I have a very dangerous life. I take chances. And a lot of times I'm not even conscious when I'm taking a chance, which is bad. Because I should have more self-preservation instinct. But roguish has a connotation of dishonest. And I mean, I think that my biggest problem is brutal honesty, not brutal dishonesty.
This question from Matt Robinson in Nashville. Are you as loud in real life as you are on your show?
You know, I think that's a great question because I don't know which is me anymore. If I'm at a ball game, which I go to a lot, then this is me, okay? But when I'm on the street and you stop me, no, I'm not, booyah, but half the time I am this guy and half the time I'm not. So it's kind of not an act, but I have the ability to be pensive, as strange as that sounds.